Hello, and welcome to another Nerdy Guest. It has been about a month, a little bit over, since the last Nerdy Cast, and that's kind of what happens when you are a classroom teacher. So I've been thinking about all the things that I wanted to do for Nerdy Cast, and recently an issue's come up with some students for me and kids interested in comics in the classroom. I've been an advocate for graphic novels in the classroom, comic books, whatever you want to call them. But there's always this pushback, the roll of the eyes from people that still think that comics or graphic novels are just those things kids read under their covers at night that is nothing but pulp, smut, or the like. And I'm here to challenge all teacher librarians, English literature teachers, curriculum people to start looking at graphic novels in a different way and start to introduce them into their curriculum. Now, I can't stress this enough, is that you need to find what's best for your students based on what's out there. That's true whether it's a traditional novel, whether it's a textbook, or even a graphic novel. Not everything is for everyone. For example, I would not give Watchmen to fourth graders. Just something that I would not do. There's age appropriateness for everything, and graphic novels are no different. So for those of you that are interested in getting started out there on looking into graphic novels, you need to start somewhere. If you don't read comics, you don't know where to start, you don't know what to look for, I have some things I want to share with you that are really great, super interesting, and can help you start exploring, integrating these amazing novels into curriculum. So the first thing I want to show you guys is this one, Understanding Comics, The Invisible Art by Scott Mccloud. There I am covering my face. In my graphic novel class I created for my district, this is our textbook. And guess what? It's a comic book about how to read comic books. Scott Mccloud is awesome. He's on Twitter at Scott Mccloud. He's actually responded to me a couple of times, which is really awesome. This breaks down the history of comics, how to read them, how the different parts of a comic make sense, and you wouldn't think you would need to be taught how to read a comic, but really there's so much more than just reading word bubbles or seeing pow and bam and boom on a page. There's so much more to it, and Understanding Comics is a place for you to start for that. Next up, an important book if you really want to make a serious argument to people around you is this book contains graphic language. There we go. Comics as Literature by Roscoe Versace. Oh, I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize, Roscoe. This was instrumental in me trying to find the right things to introduce to my students and to make the argument to my school board, to my department, and to other teachers. This has been a crucial book in helping me better understand the literature value of comics in the classroom. Now, the biggest fear that I've encountered from my own school board from people was that I don't think superheroes belong in the classroom. Superheroes, Batman and Superman, aren't literature. Now, besides the fact that I fundamentally believe that is wrong in so many different levels, it's understandable that people have that feeling because they're just not used to what comics can be, what they can have evolved into from their childhood. So while I could argue that The Dark Knight Returns is an amazing piece of literature, or Kingdom Come is an amazing dystopian novel that has superheroes in it, you're probably going to look at other pieces to integrate into your curriculum for teachers to really take a look at, and parents look and say, wow, this isn't just superheroes in tights and capes. There's some great pieces here. I've got one, Fagin the Jew by Will Eisner is an amazing piece that takes a look at the story of Oliver Twist. Will Eisner is a legend in the comic book industry. He actually has an award named after him that goes out to some of the best graphic novels that came out. This was part of my curriculum that I introduced, where students would read Oliver Twist and then would read Fagin the Jew and kind of look at the character of Fagin as he was interpreted in the Oliver Twist and how Will Eisner drew him here. It's a great piece. It's short. It's definitely good for a high school level for sure. Another great one by Art Spiegelman, Mouse. If you haven't picked it up, read it. Although it focuses on the Holocaust, it actually is a story about a father and son trying to understand each other, told through the eyes of Art Spiegelman. So this is a really great piece, award-winning, that you should definitely look at adding to your classroom. And some more recent ones. If you have the time, look at that. This is Bone. This is Bone, and this is by Jeff Smith, in case you can't see it. I use this to teach epic storytelling. This is an epic story from start to finish. It is an amazing story that follows the hero's tale if you teach mythology and the like. This is an amazing piece that can go for the younger grades. And the high school kids actually loved it, more than probably any of the other ones that we covered. This is the newer one that I just had, The Underwater Welder by Jeff Lemire. I think he's French-Canadian, so it's probably pronounced like a hockey player. This is another father-son one, understanding what's going on in your life, and it was really great. I busted this out in probably 45 minutes. I could not put it down. The art is amazing, and then probably one of my all-time favorite books, not just books, but all across the board books, comic books. This is Blankets by Craig Thompson. Stop what you're doing, put down anything else that you're reading, and you want to pick this up. This is the coming-of-age tale that really is heart-wrenching at times and very, very interesting. And as you start to look at your curriculum, you start to look at what's valuable, what can be cut, what can be moved. In English language arts, every year we move forward, our curriculum is a year older. In my American literature course in my district, our newest book is Catcher in the Rye. That's where essentially we end. We end in the 50s. We are now 60 years removed from the newest text. I was able to get the wonderful award-winning graphic novel Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi into my freshman English curriculum as a autobiography, nonfiction piece. The kids love it. It's so informative and it's so relevant today as it was when it came out years ago. It's another one you should definitely look at. But as we move forward with our curriculum, you need to start looking beyond just traditional fiction that you see anywhere else. And that's one of the things that I absolutely want to stress to you guys, as I plug in the password because my screensaver went on, is that graphic novels can bring sometimes more to the table than a traditional novel, because it is broader in its appeal than I think even teachers understand. I love Huck Finn. It's one of my favorite books. Twain is one of my favorite authors of all time. But every year it's getting harder and harder for kids to relate to a young boy growing up in a plantation pre-Civil War in the South. It's kind of tough for a bunch of suburbanites living in the North to grasp that. It's fun, it's still engaging, and that's my job, to find new ways to entertain these kids and get them to understand the value of this piece of satire. But at the same time, as a coming-of-age story, are there better options? Are we going to start to look at, spending more time on current and relevant pieces to have these students understand these important literary devices and terms? So as all of you kind of go out there and start to look for graphic novels or ways to integrate it, sometimes start small and have a selection in your classroom. I have a whole bookcase of graphic novels that kids can borrow, check out, read during off time. I love giving these kids opportunities to explore literature in different ways. I think that's our job as teachers, and I think for those out there in the teacher librarian field, start to maximize your use of graphic novels in your library spaces. Set up special exhibits, special stands for kids to really dive into graphic novels, because if there's a push for it, you'll start to see a push for it in the curriculum, and that's what we want to see, is really offering a broader range of literature, and that's what graphic novels are, and that's one of the things that I make sure I pass on to everyone who kind of gives me the sideward glance when I say, oh, great literature, read Blankets, read Bone. because they're just not there. And it's our job as teachers, it's our job as nerds to put the word out there to get people reading things that are just as powerful as what's considered traditional literature. So thank you guys. I will try to be a little bit more on time with these nerdy casts. I've got hopefully another one in a couple of weeks where we'll focus on administrators. Ooh, administrators. And is Professor X really a good administrator? It seems like there's constant fighting and bullying going on when he's around. So I don't know. It's something that we need to consider as we look at administrators in the world around us, the very, very nerdy world. So thank you for stopping by and taking a look at this. And please leave a comment, share, do all those other fancy things. And I look forward to stopping by and talking straight into you in your rooms very soon. Have a great day, everyone.